the Ignite Healthcare Marketing Podcast. Really excited for today's guest. She's joining us from Northern California, my place of my birth. Always fun to meet new podcast guests and find those connections. Same thing with conferences. It's like you go to a conference and you meet new people. And Dykema DSO was just last week, so we're going to talk about all things dental. She's coming to us from Kids Care Dental and Orthodontics, where she is the VP of Marketing. So without further ado, let's welcome Kassie Churchill. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. Thanks for being here.
Before we dig in to all things dental, let's talk a little bit about who you are, where you've been, and some of your background.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, I'm Kassie Churchill, Vice President of Marketing for Kids Care Dental. We have 21 locations across Northern California, most in the Sacramento area, some in the Bay Area, some down in the Central Valley. And we are pediatric dental and also orthodontics, all of our locations. And then we offer oral surgery and surgery center too. So I've been here for getting close to 2 years. And before that, I was at Choice Healthcare Services, which is also pediatric dental and orthodontics, 5 states across the Western United States, where I was director of marketing there for several years too.
Well, I think the pediatric space is kind of a more fun side of healthcare marketing in many ways. You're allowed to kind of like cut loose because I think having that personality is what's so important with building trust, especially with moms. And I think most of our listeners know that mom is in the driver's seat for most healthcare decisions. They are finding the providers, booking the appointments. So it's really important to build that trust with them. So how are you thinking about that at Kids Care Dental, like building that trust right from the get-go?
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of what we say is that the millennial mom is really our main target demographic. It's changing a little bit as we kind of get to the little kids, the under 5 kids. Those are more like Gen Z parents. We see a lot of moms and dads at that, which makes me feel very old because I have little kids and I was a millennial mom too. So what they're really looking for is, can I trust you with a child? So it's like you said, it's fun. We get to do the tooth fairy. We get to do superhero days and all of those fun activities and fun events and relationships with daycare centers and preschools and, you know, bring out the brushing buddy and a little guns. But really what they're kind of at the end of the day looking for is, can I trust you with my child? Millennial moms are very into research. They want to make sure that your website is family friendly, easy to book, that the provider has a good experience, the patient experience once they're in there is a fun, engaging place, that they're not scared. What we like to say is giggly, fear-free smiles for all of our kiddos. So they find us on Instagram, they find us on TikTok, and really meeting them where they are and ensuring that our website and any sort of advertisement that they touch shows and really reinforces that trust environment too.
Yeah, you mentioned that millennial moms are very much doing the research, trying to find all the options. How have you seen that evolved over the last 5 years? Like, I think, you know, we all know AI is playing a big part in that discovery phase. Is that like, how is that kind of appearing in the pediatric space?
Absolutely. And when somebody says that they're an expert in AI marketing, I always say, like, this current moment you are. Like, let's wait 5 minutes and see what happens to you. And who would have known that what we all could see the AI doing in the last 6 months, right? What we've really seen is we've launched an AEO and SEO optimized website. So we make sure that we have all the capabilities on our website, but they find us where they are. And also really just improving the review generation, which is so important for the AEO and now GEO captures as well. So we're really seeing people being able to book directly from ChatGPT sources that we've seen from our UTM codes. And that's been pretty exciting to kind of see the rankings improve there. We now have 17 of our locations that rank #1 on ChatGPT AI searches on like kids dentist near me, pediatric dentist near me, and those search terms. So making sure that your Google My Business pages are really up to date, that you have all the FAQs, that you have your EAT signals that are top on your website. And those are the ones that are really kind of pulling for there. So it's showing people where they are, which again, they're finding us on these alternative news sources like TikTok, but then also ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude. So it's been kind of a fun frontier to be able to play around with.
There's not one channel. Like, this is, I'm going to do my research and that's it. Like, they're asking other moms, they're asking ChatGPT, they're listening to, you know, different reviews. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that parent to parent referral, because parents are trying to find trusted sources. Those are people, those are the internet, websites. So how are you kind of facilitating and encouraging those referral moments in person too?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in pediatrics, right? It's like you see us twice a year and it's bringing them where they are of like, I'm sitting on the couch still on my phone and it's 8 p.m. and oh no, I forgot to book my kid's appointment. So it's reaching them from like that ped perspective, but then also you mentioned from referrals, that word of mouth is still so vital. And it's almost a digital word of mouth too. So it's why we're talking about Google My Business pages and reviews being paramount in this environment. And it's also the relationships with local marketing. Hyperlocal marketing in pediatrics in particular is incredibly important because it's the little league game that the mom's sitting at. It's, the school play that they're like, oh no, I forgot my kid's dentist appointment. Do you have a recommendation for me? And so it's developing different ways that they can bring those word of mouth ones. So that's why we really stay involved in the hyperlocal marketing as well, not just paid media spend, bottom of funnel, but also those brand activities of community events and partnerships and relationships with daycares and preschools that the millennial moms are going to.
Yeah, it's not one channel. And you mentioned Little League. I'm thinking of my own small little town. They sell $100 banners to put up on the fence. And it's like, but you're sitting there watching, like, oh, shoot, I forgot to book that appointment. And then the Google.
And you're there how many times a week sitting there at the Little League?
And then you pull out your phone and the Google, I think in many ways, marketers like Google business profiles are like, oh, okay, it's like a baseline thing that you need to do, but it's becoming so important in the LLM world. That's where they're getting their information from. They're pulling those reviews, like you mentioned. Like you need to have a strong presence and a really complete 100% optimized profile, or else you'll miss that hyperlocal visibility.
And just constant refreshing of it too, right? It's constantly uploading Google My Business profile, photos, responding to even just the blank 5-star reviews is really going to move the needle and bring it up in those AI rankings too.
I'm assuming like from a tech standpoint, you're doing all of we always like to talk about tech stacks here too. Like what are people using? What tools are you doing? Like the review encouragement, review campaigns, trying to get those moms to like leave that feedback?
Yeah. And we do have in-office promotions as well, where we try to encourage our teams that they get, some sort of incentive if they get the most number of 5-star reviews. And that's really, really increased our number of 5-star reviews. We've had in the last quarter since we implemented an online reputation management system, as well as these different review platforms. We've had an 85% increase in our 5-star reviews. So really going to continue that momentum for the end of 2026.
I like the competitive element of like getting people to, because it's not comfortable for a lot of people to ask for like, hey, give me your feedback right now. So I think, having a little bit of incentive, right, can help people kind of get over that hurdle in the office when they're right there and your kid's smiling, they're giggling, like you said. And they're like, okay, now is when you ask, right?
What a great thing. You've watched, a movie, you played with the toys in the office, you got, a balloon and a giveaway, and you're doing really well. So, and also making it as easy as them as possible, right? So here's a QR code that you can scan and do it, or here's an SMS text after the fact, because they're trying to like get their insurance paperwork set and get the note to get the kid back to school, and the toddler is running off, and I have too much personal experience with all of these scenarios.
The chaos. Children bring a lot of chaos and fun. So thinking about, you have general dentistry, the routine need, like maybe you move to a new town, maybe for whatever reason you need a new dentist. But then there are the things that are a little bit more considered, bigger decisions. If you need dentist, maybe there's an issue. But yeah, you have those more considered decisions where you're like thinking about how do I find the absolute best? And it's a high value, service as well. How are you kind of reaching and kind of nurturing a mom to get to that point where they're ready to make the decision?
Yeah. So what we like to think of is it's not just pediatric dentistry, and what they're looking for is that convenience factor. And that's not just near my location or takes my insurance, but also like can it treat my child through the entire life cycle of my kiddo's experience as a patient and their entire patient journey. And that's really something that we strive to focus on, is that we're not just pediatrics, but you can also transition into braces, and we can take care of that for you right here with the dentist that you're familiar with and the staff that you're familiar with. And then, you need those third molars out, which 90% of kids do. And so you can do that here at our offices and our locations as well. So obviously they're higher priced than just the twice a year pediatric dentistry. So they take a little bit more of relationship building and conversion tactics as opposed to, the twice a year covered by insurance pieces as well. So it's developing those relationships. It's making sure that they feel comforted as you are their provider for the entire patient experience through, aging out of pediatrics as a whole.
How do you think about payer mix? I know, in pediatrics, in some locales too, there's a little bit more of a Medicaid versus commercial insurance. Are you considering that and kind of developing different pathways and journeys to kind of reach those different mixes?
Yeah. So I would kind of look at that as like a yes and situation.
Yeah.
So what we do is you reach them where they are and you reach the patient where they are.
Mhm.
So they are a little bit of a different, more transient population, more hard to get a hold of. So from a communication channel standpoint, we do need to think about that differently. And, that's a lot of like, do we have SMS texting? They need to be able to go to our website. Do they have any barriers to communication? We can't really reach them at their address. So can we find email address for them? Can we reach them on social media to be able to let them know that we can take care of them here? So that's a little bit of a different communication channel standpoint. But as far as the messaging itself, a mom is a mom, a parent is a parent. They're all looking for the same thing. And it's really, what is the problem we're solving? And it's, can I trust you with my child? And that message is very similar in commercial pay or Medicaid. We might change it for the specific location. The Central Valley requires a different message than, the Bay Area. That's kind of, I think, the two ones that most people that are outside California probably know the difference between those two. But, language and all of those. But at the end of the day, we're solving the same problem. Can I trust you with the care of my child? So
the root motivation and the root need that they need to satisfy is the same. And then it goes to, like you mentioned on the website, the information, like, is my insurance accepted or not accepted? Is that convenience and that quick assessment. Thinking about millennials, Gen Z, like, how are they making appointments now? What trends have you kind of seen? Like, is it more so online booking? Are you seeing a lot more engagement with SMS? Like, what kind of advice, recommendations you have for people kind of to reach those new types of moms?
Yeah, it's definitely switched over. I would say it's about 60% that do online booking and about 40% that do through our call center. Particularly if it's a little bit more complicated, they have lots of kids and they need to be able to kind of figure out different scheduling or those activities or, calling for an oral surgery consultation. We don't do online booking for those. So I think that they're reaching those more primarily on like, is it easy? Again, kind of going back to what I said earlier, of like sitting on the couch at 8:00 and you're like, oh no, my kid's 2 months past due, or my kid is 3 years old and I have never taken them in for an appointment at all. I should probably do something about that because I saw an ad while I was scrolling Instagram. So making sure that we have like paid media spend where they are, and lots of our lifecycle marketing campaigns are on the booklet now, but that being able to still be able to call and reach a person who can answer questions is still really important. So that's about 40% of ours coming through phone numbers.
I can think of many instances of on my couch at night where I'm like, shoot, I didn't call them before 5, and I have to and then I text myself a reminder, call the dentist tomorrow or call up my PT tomorrow. Yeah, I think this, especially like working moms too, that convenience factor, being able to do it quickly in between moments is really important to not have to be confined from that 9 to 5 is tricky. Yeah. So talked a lot about reaching the mom. How do you kind of get them in the door? Let's like transition a little bit and talk about measuring marketing performance. What have you found like in your career advice that you'd say, what actually matters to the C-suite and board, and like truths that you live by?
Yeah. So what I think is kind of interesting over, I would even say the last like 5 to 7 years of my career is really kind of taking a look at like marketing as a holistic discipline has really changed. It's not campaigns. It's not the big flashy, here's the really cool impressions that we did or anything like that. It's marketing is the growth engine for the organization, less about communications, but growth engine and how does that tie back to revenue? And I think that's what they're always really looking for when the board, CEO, when they're saying like, how do we build revenue? How did you build pipeline? Can you track this and attribute it into growth for the organization? So dashboards are cool, but also how do you translate that into acquisition of new patients, which again, going back to pediatrics, they age out of our system. So always constantly needing to tie any activity you do back to how did it grow the organization as a whole.
The impact, you have to prove the impact to the absolute business outcome. So attribution, I think that's every marketer's favorite and maybe hated word. Hated word out there. But it's tricky. It's not perfect. We talked about all those different sources that, you're on your couch, you're looking at TikTok, you're on these different channels. You see that banner at the park. It's like, how do you guys kind of think about, still proving that impact and connecting the dots back to business outcomes?
Yeah. And I think that's, like you said, kind of the most fun thing about being a marketer is there's the ones that like the paid media spend that you can see bottom of funnel. And you can actually see patients book directly from that. And then there's feeding the top of the funnel and those activities like the banner at the park and the relationship with the local daycare center or the FQHC for the Medicaid population. So I think that bringing those back into like an entire, here's organic growth, what's the patient journey, and being able to like optimize it throughout the patient journey and getting as close to like a revenue conversion engine and making sure that you can translate that back into it too.
There's a lot of different ways and it's not perfect. Then how do you kind of communicate that to the C-suite? So they feel confident, they need a level of trust. Is there anything that you've seen in your career that this is advice to our listeners that's been helpful for you?
Yeah. So anything you can do to tie it back to the source is really what they're going to look at. They understand that you need the larger, top of funnel activities, but as far as what they're seeing, that didn't translate into new patient growth. So being able to explain, this much increase in visitation to the website, what does that on average look like when it translates into, new patient growth? Typically, do you see this piece being aired? Okay, well then what does that translate into it? So kind of taking those averages and trying to amalgamate it into a dashboard that's an executive level view.
Well, to kind of close this out and I think go back to maybe some of the fun parts that we talked a little bit about pediatric specialties and how it allows marketers to kind of develop some of those fun campaigns and let loose a little bit, I think, in the healthcare world. So we're going to do a quick closing. We're going to ask you a few rapid fire questions. Thinking about outside of healthcare, where do you find your best marketing inspiration?
I would say the brands that are the hello there brands, right? So you're talking like Disneyland, Dutch Bros, if you're familiar with Dutch Bros, like the coffee company, Chick-fil-A, the ones that that they are there for the consumer. And so I get a lot of, because again, we work in pediatrics, so it's that patient experience across the patient journey. So it's like, how could I translate that into it? So Disneyland, Dutch Bros, Chick-fil-A, the super happy, joyful ones to be here in their job.
They're fun and they allow you to kind of embrace your inner kid in some way too, right? I think everyone kind of could use some moments to get back to that inner childhood and the giggle, like you said. Is there any one campaign that you've seen in any of those brands or other brands that you were like, dang, that is really good. I wish I did that. Or, you drew inspiration from it.
Yeah. So one that's really kind of turns like the user into the marketer is Spotify Wrapped. And I'm always really amazed when I see people share it. I don't even have Spotify, but I'm always amazed every year when I see people share their Spotify Wrapped and how much they used it for the year and all the statistics on it. And it's really fun and people like to do that. And it's turning the consumer into the marketer. And I always just find it fascinating to see.
Yeah, I love it. I think it reveals a little bit about who you are as a person, and people love that self-discovery. It's like, who am I? And then I want to tell the world about it. Last question, real quick. Recent win that you're proud of.
So one that's a little bit less obvious is that we really just rebuilt the funnel. So when I started, it was, month over month, year over year decline since COVID. Every healthcare marketer's, nightmare, right? So there was just no attribution. Everything was really external. It was a lot of really large brand campaigns. So I sort of rebuilt the funnel, brought a lot of the superfluous agencies in-house so we could have more of that, have people on our accounts as opposed to lots of this massive ecosystem that it was. And with that, we've been able to grow patients steadily since then. So, we closed June at 10% new patient growth and looking to close July about 14%. So rebuilding the funnel and being able to track it and attribute it has been, can I say exciting? Is that nerdy marketing speak? But
no. I think that's very, we talked about campaigns and the fun part of marketing, but the foundational work of getting the right technology in place that's, HIPAA compliant, that you can actually track things in a compliant way. That's hard work. It's a slog. It takes a lot of people to get on board with. But once you do that, you have the ability to say, this is where we're going to be able to grow and how we're doing it. And I think that is a really big win. So that's awesome. Congrats.
And California always adds, some more complexity to the healthcare marketing space too.
That is true. The California kind of leads the nation in terms of all of the regulatory stances. So I think you guys are on the front, the leading edge, cutting edge of kind of figuring out how to navigate all of that. So that keeps you on your toes. It's fun, but it's also really hard. So if there's anything to close out the episode, looking ahead for the rest of the year, where are you focused? You rebuilt the funnel. What's next?
Yeah, continue to grow and to meet patients where they are. As we said, we're seeing a lot more of that Gen Z. So what does that look like as we've been focusing on kind of the millennial mom and now it's Gen Z parents? And so really kind of excited to dig into that and all the new AI capabilities. And I think it'll be really good to operationalize AI as opposed to kind of use it for content and all the other online management and all those pieces that we've had before. But how can we really operationalize it to make a more efficient looking organization?
Kassie, thank you so much for joining Nick Knight. It was a wonderful conversation. And thanks, listeners. And join us again next week for another episode. Bye.
Thanks for having me.